Thanks so much for joining us today. We're ready for another Mazzei Money Method. This is number 6, and we're joined today by superstar financial planner Jeremy Lott. I call Jeremy the rock star because he's so efficient, he gets things done. His clients think he's awesome, and he's going to help us with today's topic, save early and save often. So, Jeremy, I've taught my kids over the years, give 10%, save 10%, learn to live on the difference, basically. If you start that discipline early in life, what does it do for an early investor?
Great. Thanks for having me today, Mike, and good job teaching your kids how to do this. Mainly the power of compounding, starting early, I think is the main reason. And, I think for my kids, I try to teach them the same, which is to pay yourself first, which is to put that money aside, if you can. And I think it also helps with just like budgeting in general and being able to, hey, if I'm only spending 80% of what I make, then I think those are good disciplines to have. But I think just starting early is super important just because the compounding over 40, 50 years is enormous.
Speaking of enormous, the great physicist Albert Einstein said that one of the greatest forces in the universe is the power of compounded money. So, to your point, what can be accomplished over 40 or 50 years is pretty significant. If a saver starts right after college with, say, $500 a month and just keeps going and keeps going, what's the difference between making sure that happens and someone who says, I'm going to wait till I'm 35 or 40 or something like that, and when I make enough money, then I'll start saving?
Great question. So I think, as we said earlier, it's about those habits. And so if I'm just starting out in my career and I'm making $40,000, but I'm committed to saving, say, 10%, well, when I'm 35 and I'm making $100,000, I'm still used to saving 10%. And so going from 0 to 10% when I'm making enough money or making a lot of money, I think it's kind of hard. So I think if they're just disciplined to start early, and when you're starting out and you're not making as much, and you kind of build that habit, and then as you make more money, just keep the percentage the same. It's much easier to do that. And back to the compounding, you're missing out on those first 10 or 15 years, which in the beginning and just building that up, I think is really critical.
I think the results from the mathematical numbers show even if 10%, as you know, helping lots of clients and running these numbers, if you start in your 20s, you'll be a millionaire in your 50s. If you start in your 30s, you might only get to $500,000 versus having, millions worth in savings. Now, for a lot of Americans, and this is true for my daughter in her first job, the best way for her to save that 10%, if you will, is the company retirement plan. For nonprofits, it's a 403B. For profits, we commonly refer to these as 401k plans. Why is that an important mechanism? And how do you balance out, should all of that savings go into 401k, or should some of that savings be held outside of the 401k?
Sure. So the 401k, I think, is a extremely important piece of your financial plan, financial future, for a few reasons. One is every dollar that goes in is either going to be tax deferred or potentially tax free if there's a Roth option inside the 401k, which is fairly new, but for some clients is really, really important. You can also save a lot more money into those types of plans under those special tax rules as opposed to outside of the plan. There are some loan provisions as well in 401ks. So if you got in a bind, had an emergency, needed the cash, you could potentially borrow from your 401k, pay yourself interest. That sometimes can be a strategy. To your point about outside savings, there is sometimes a need to maybe have money that I don't want to have to dig into my 401k and borrow and pay interest. So you may have some money outside in just a regular investment account or a cash reserve or something where you could invest it and it could grow, but it's also liquid and no penalties or taxes or whatever to get to it other than maybe what the investments have made.
A lot of times that makes sense. Speaking of my daughter, that is actually what she decided. She got a bonus when she went into nursing coming out of school. You can't put all that into a 401k right away. So she ended up with a strategy of, I'm going to put X amount of money in the 401k, and then I'm going to build up some savings here on the side as well. And now this year she gets to use what she saved and build to buy her first house, but she's still got money crunching along. In her case, it's a 403B because she works for a hospital system. Now, there are some youngsters, kids, grandkids of these clients of ours that are starting in their careers in a gig economy or who knows what they're doing, and they're making money, but they don't have access to the 401k or the 403b. What are their options, and how can they still focus on saving early, saving often?
Sure. So the majority of clients, maybe like a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, I think is very powerful. So the Roth IRA, if you're under the age of 50, you can put in $7,000, at least right now that's the maximum. But the power of that is that it grows tax-free. So over 40, 50 years of tax-free growth is a tremendous opportunity. If maybe they want something where they can deduct contributions, you could fund a traditional IRA. If they're married, you could maybe do a spousal. If they want to put away more than $7,000 a year, there are other things like tax-deferred annuities. Some life insurance policies allow investments that have tax advantages. If you're self-employed, there are these solo 401k ideas or simple IRAs that offer more savings, just how much you can put into those. So there are lots of options.
And it sounds like there are plenty of options, plenty of vehicles for anyone starting their professional career to save early, save often, and if they do it consistently over time, they're going to be the millionaire next door.
Absolutely.
And we hope that kind of information, friends, is helpful, that you can pass on to your kids and grandkids. As always, we appreciate the chance to share some money manners with you. Have a blessed day, and be sure to tell your kids and grandkids, save early and save often.